Hi, everybody. I'm Matt.
And I'm Jen.
And you're listening to the Matt and Jen Show.
So this week we are talking about spending time with a seasoned Christian. So we're at about the halfway mark, a little bit past halfway. And one of the things you'll find when you're learning to hear from God is there are other people who can also hear him, and a lot of people who have been where you are and have been through many seasons and can help you, by explaining some of the things that can happen, explaining different seasons and how there's very typical seasons that people go through, almost like a script, where somebody who's been there before can say, I know where you are right now, and here's how you're going to get through. Really, really important to build relationships like that in your life, because sometimes you can feel like you're going a little crazy. Really. There are seasons where it's isolating, seasons where it's very discouraging because things seem to be negative. There are seasons where everything gets shaken in your life, spiritually speaking. When you're around seasoned Christians, they can tell you that, and they will probably laugh or kind of do the knowing groan, oh, I will pray for you, because they know the pain of walking with the Lord, growing in the Lord, especially if your eyes have been open to why you are here, what your purpose is, what your destiny is. Those are very scary things to the enemy, for you to know your value, your worth, and what you're meant for. So you can expect some difficulties along the way that come from the enemy, and sometimes things that the Lord allows that you can't fully understand. So when you connect with older Christians, they can help you navigate those waters. Sometimes, I've noticed in young adulthood, I'll say, 20s and 30s, we tend to not value the older generations as much as we should. And I don't know whether that's just a human developmental thing, where we think we've got it all together in our 20s and 30s. That's just the reality of it. We think we have answers. And by the time you hit 40, I guarantee you will recognize you didn't know what you thought you knew when you were 30. And, you can miss a lot of bumps in the road if you're just willing to listen to somebody who's gone ahead and gone before you. So really important to grow relationships with older, wiser people. So we can't do this alone. Meeting with somebody can help you build your faith. Because as I times, you can go through seasons of isolation. The Lord can put that on you, and the enemy can put that on you. You can put that on you. Other people can put that on you. So when you've, connected with someone who's strong in their faith and have gone before you, they can help you in that time so that you don't fall by the wayside. Isolation is one of those strange things where it's kind of a make it or break it, at least in that season for you. That if you're going through a season of isolation, it's a dangerous place to be. And you really need to be praying and praying hard and connecting with people that you trust, who have wisdom, because they can help you out of that. Because sometimes in isolation, we tend to listen to our own thoughts, or not so good thoughts that are planted in there that are meant to discourage you and meant to take you off course. So we don't want that. It can happen, and God is gracious. So don't feel, paranoid or panicked about missing something, but really important to connect with people who know and understand the seasons and reading things in the Spirit, actually. And some of it is, to make sure that you are not going crazy. Not that you actually are, but sometimes it feels like, Lord, everything around me is different, changing, shaking. I'm losing things. What is happening? And it can make you feel like, maybe I'm going crazy. You're not. It's okay. So I've had and have many friends who have helped me along the way. And it's taken a good 10 years at least to be able to look back and reflect on who those people are or were. Because sometimes in the moment, might not feel like certain people are helping you. And then it turns out that those were probably the most helpful people. I'm thinking of one lady right now who is a very undervalued person and still very much in a hidden place, but highly, highly prophetic, beautiful, profound woman of God who is just beautiful inside and out. And this lady, I went to a very large church, and for a long time, my kids and I were on our own. And for about a year and a half, literally no one spoke to me. I was speaking to God, I was having angelic encounters, but literally no one spoke to me for a year and a half in a large church. How is that possible? But I honestly believe there was something to do with Holy Spirit keeping me hidden for that time. But there was one woman who never forgot us. And through so many of the programs and whatnot that were available through the church, I was missed somehow. But every year, this dear lady always made sure that we had a turkey for Christmas and all of the things that went with the turkey for Christmas. And she would have her husband go and get all of our things out of the storage and freezer areas and bring it out to our car and all that kind of stuff. She is one of my absolute favorite people on the planet. And I'm so indebted to her for her wisdom and her kindness and her care. There are so many people that I could speak that way about, people who aren't afraid to tell you the truth. These are people who have integrity, who have shown that they walk in integrity. So I'm not suggesting that you subject yourself to someone who, or people who are more interested in having power over you than in helping guide you and lift you up higher than themselves. A big key to that is humility. Watch people's actions more than their words. Learn from other people. Who do they speak of in high regard? Are these people people who have heard from the Lord for many seasons and can help you? Are they people who pray regularly? Have you heard them pray? Not that that's everything, because people learn how to pray publicly, right? But privately, things cannot be so lined up well. People who can hear in the spirit and can, interpret things for you. It should feel like encouragement. It should feel like if correction comes, it should feel like you are loved, that you are supported and not condemned and judged. Because that's the voice of the Lord, right? The voice of the Lord is encouraging, and he corrects, but he never condemns. So too, the people of God should behave in that same way. So don't submit yourself to something or someone that makes you feel awful about yourself and that you just want to quit or you feel judged. But it's okay to submit when someone has, their integrity intact and they want to help you, and you can tell. You can tell when somebody's motive comes from love. It should always come from love. These are the people that are gold, and often these are the people who are not known. They're in the quiet places. Yeah. So pray about it. Ask God. This will be your thing for this week. Ask God to highlight to you someone that you can approach. That's what you need to do. So find that person. So whether it's, you feel led by the Lord, which I would definitely suggest is number one. Number two is look for the person with integrity, someone prays, someone hears things in the spirit, can see things, understands visions and dreams, that kind of thing. Someone who has a good reputation with the community. And attempt to develop a relationship with that person. So, the proverb that we're working on this week is Proverbs 27:17. And that says, as iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. So it's really important to grow and maintain relationships with people who will come alongside you. And the thing that I've recognized with those who are really brilliant at this type of mentoring, I wrote it down here. Those who love the most have been hurt the most. And that just seems to be true. And maybe that's why these people are in the hidden places. There just tends to not be an agenda with these people, and they're not interested in a platform. They're not interested in a podium. They're not interested in a microphone in front of their face. They just love the Lord, and they love people who come to them saying, hey, listen, I'm trying to do this thing. I'm trying to connect with the Lord. I'm learning to hear from the Lord. That's always a good phrase. I'm learning to hear from the Lord. So what your action is for this week is you're going to ask God who that person is or who those people are, because you can try, more than one person, because somebody may not be available. If somebody says no to you, they can't meet with you, don't take it personally. You just respect that boundary and ask the Lord for someone else, or ask for direction of what to do next. That's fine. So then ask that person, connect with that person, and ask if they'd be willing to meet. Set up a time with them, and make sure that you honor their time. It's really important to do that, especially for people, if they're really being pulled on by a lot of people and mentoring a lot of people. You're going to want to make sure you're really prepared for that meeting. So make sure you write down whatever you want to say to that person. Write down the questions that you have for them. Keep it short, not like a 5-page essay. That would be good. Make sure that you're on time for the meeting, all that kind of stuff. Get through your list of the things that you want to ask, listen intently, take notes, whatever it is that you need to do, and thank them for their time, and make sure that you don't go over time unless it's, that they're okay with that and you can see that they're willing to spend the extra time. That's fantastic. So you're just going to tell them what you've been learning, talk to them about maybe some of the experiences that you have, or maybe some of the difficulties that you've had with learning to discern God's voice, or knowing, whether it's Him. How do you know that it's Him? Being obedient. How obedient have you been to listen to God's voice, and what was the outcome of that? And then ask them for stories about how they've grown in the Lord. What are some of the things that helped them? What are some of the books that they read and then that helped them grow? What are some of the dreams or visions that they've seen come to pass? Where did they learn how to grow their prophetic ability with the Lord? There's lots of questions that you can ask. So really, let the person speak and listen to what they have to say. You'll find often commonalities when you listen to someone else. It's like I said, sometimes it's like a script. You listen to somebody else and they just may think they're giving you some random story about how God came through somehow, or the goodness of God, or the faithfulness of God. And all of a sudden it completely relates to whatever your biggest difficulty is right now. Happens over and over again. It's just kind of like, the Lord knitting people together and creating bonds with people. And it's just a beautiful thing. So listen intently, ask them your questions, honor their time, thank them for their time, see if they'd like to meet again, if you want to do that. If you don't feel like it's really a fit, go back and start the process again, and look for another person or another group of people. Whatever makes you comfortable and whatever you feel is bringing you peace, do that. If something isn't bringing you peace, don't force yourself. There isn't a, I should be doing something if it doesn't feel right. Make sure it feels right. And then the last thing I want to say to you, the most important thing, no matter where you are in your walk, no matter who speaks into your life, always take it back to the Lord. Always go back to God and say, okay, God, what of that can I take? What are you also saying in that? What is confirmation for me that you would want me to know? And what are some of the things that I can just let go of? And it doesn't mean that you hold offense against a person if they've given you a wrong word, or they've said something that maybe was a little sharp for you. Even in a correction, right? You can go back to God and say, okay, what in that did I need to take for me? And what in that am I going to just give back to you? And you deal with that, so that I don't carry offense in my heart too, right? Sometimes some of the sharpest tongues have been, difficult to hear, but sometimes there's truth in it. So maybe the person didn't deliver it the way that you are able to hear it, but go back to the Lord. What in that was for me, God, because I do want to grow, and I do want to learn, and I do want to love like you love. So it's really important to take those nuggets of wisdom as gold, if the Lord says, hang on to that one. So that is my best advice for you. Always. It doesn't matter whether you're a beginner, an intermediate, or a seasoned, wise, decades old, full-time ministry person. Always take everything back to the Lord. Was that you, God? What part of that was you? All that kind of stuff. And always, pray to bless the person too, regardless of whether they got it all right or they got it all wrong. They can do that, because you can do that. We all can do that. So we all need grace. So that is your homework for this week. Hopefully you found that helpful. Make sure you have your copy of your book, and looking forward to hearing some of the responses with people's progress. So please make sure to comment. Let us know how you're doing. Ask us any questions. Message us if you need prayer. That's no problem at all. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Take care.